Harris, let's take a look at this first clip. What do you see here? What do you like about it, and how does this fit with what the Browns want to do?
Well, you're gonna see right here is that he gets circled here. This is what he does very well. He gets off the football. He's very explosive. He gets his hands immediately on the guard, and when he gets his hands in your guard, he gets it into the chest of the guard and consistently moves that guard backwards. And as you can see here, he makes the tackle here, but he's constantly in the backfield by pushing that guard or getting in the gap. So again, great extension, great get off, finds the ball. Because of that extension, he's able to throw the guard off and actually make the play too. You know, you're talking about a guy with 24.5 sacks. He's had lots and lots of tackles in his career, both assisted and solo. He's an active guy. He's a run stopper. So whatever you get in the pass rush game is going to be, is going to be extra. But this guy is really active in the run game, and you can see his violent hands right here, which I think is his #1 quality.
The other thing that when we were looking at the Jim Schwartz Eagles defense, he's playing in the back. You know, you've pushed that line of scrimmage back a couple of yards, and that's exactly what the Browns are looking for. When we look at the second clip, technique, take us through this, what you see with this second clip.
Well, short area quickness. So he's going to stun inside here. Again, he's down on the bottom of the screen, the defensive tackle. He's going to stun inside, and he gets on the shoulder, and he shows great explosion, great lateral movement. He's able to bend to the quarterback. Again, he's 300 pounds. He's not the tallest guy in the world, so he gets great leverage. He gets underneath offensive linemen. He's got a great motor. He plays with great explosion. So that first play, you saw him almost two-gapping and getting into the guard. Now you're going to see some of the things he's going to do as well with Schwartz, which is blow gaps, angle and stun inside. He's going to loop. He's going to twist. He's going to do a bunch of different things. So the first play kind of shows his strength and his technique with his hands, and now he's just getting off the ball and penetrating, being a one-gap penetrator. And again, he's very hard to block. He has great bend, and he's very strong.
Again, take a look. I mean, you've got him 8-9 yards into the backfield, reestablishing that line of scrimmage, and that's kind of what Jim Schwartz wants the defense to do. Let's take a look. This next clip, what do we see, and take us through the points here with this next clip.
This is great. This is a Jim Schwartz look here. This is going to be a wide 3, wide 5 on a 3rd down and long, and he's going to get in that B gap and he's going to go. So what Schwartz is going to do is that he's going to force these offensive linemen to kick out and block those B and C gaps. And right here is a great look at the Seahawks last year. They're in a wide 3 and a wide 5, something you're going to get from Schwartz, like I said. So again, this is just a clear pass rush. Most of his pass rush game plan deals with his hands, clubs, and ribs and swims. He plays with great leverage. He's always slow. Again, he's very, very good at reacting to what the offensive lineman is going to do. He understands down and distance. He understands schemes. He's a very, very good NFL 3 technique that comes with a lot of upside and kind of fills that last gap that the Browns need on their defense. This is just a wide 3. This is what you're going to see him do on 3rd down with Cleveland this fall.
The other thing is another veteran guy. He's been in the league. I believe this is his 9th season. So you got him, you got Tomlinson. You finally have guys that the younger defensive tackles can kind of pick their brain and see the nuances of playing that position in the NFL. When you had so many young guys, you didn't. It's like, who are they supposed to follow and get the tricks of the trade from?
One thing that my opinion is the defense and offensive lineman. It's like a freshman going into college. You know, you're an 18-year-old freshman and you have to play with these 22-year-old linemen. And skill guys can kind of get away with it with their footwork and things like that. But as linemen, those are grown men. It's very much the same case in the NFL. They come in as 22-year-old young guys or young men. These 25, 28, 26, 27, 28-year-old guys are just more seasoned. They're bigger, they're stronger, they're grown. So they're just able to hold their gaps better. They're able to understand how the blocking schemes are in the NFL a little bit. When you're a defensive lineman in college, you're just better. You're bigger and better, and you don't have to rely on a lot of technique all the time, especially these guys who are not drafted in the 1st, 2nd round. Now these guys, the Elliott's, the Ikas, these guys can develop a little bit and kind of learn from these guys in front of them. Again, I think this is a tremendous pickup for Cleveland.
Well, the other thing that we keep hearing about is positional flexibility. We've heard it with some of the people on the back half. You've heard it with Za'Darius Smith. Is this something that Shelby Harris brings as well?
I think I really like about him is that I think he can play that 9 technique if you get a tight end. So a lot of times you're going to get a tight end in there. They're going to run to that tight end. I think he's flexible enough, along with Zadarius, obviously Miles. But having those young guys being injured, I think he's a guy who can fill in, especially against these teams that like to have the power run game. Those guys that like to have a tight end and a wing, and they like to run that power to the tight end. They're going to get that tray block with the big double team with the tight end and the tackle. So I think his flexibility with his footwork, his lateral quickness, his ability to explode. Yeah, I think he can be a guy. And then he's a guy also that you can flip outside at times. He gives you another rotational guy outside until those young guys, one, get healthy, and the next, kind of learn their trait and get better at their craft. But yes, a guy with great position flexibility, finding matchups. Schwartz is more about matchups than he is, what is your exact position. So, again, a guy who fits in great, a veteran. This defensive line is, on paper, is as good as it gets. Now they got to go out and do it, which I think they will.
And here's that the last clip, and that shows some of that positional flexibility that you're talking about.
See him on the bottom screen. He's the one who hits the quarterback, but he's lined up at the defensive end. And obviously, it's a 3rd and goal, a 3rd and long look here, and he does a good job of just kind of collapsing everything. Now, he doesn't have a massive bend or anything like that like Myles Garrett, but what he does is he uses his hands very well, and he gets to shoulders very well. And he's just heavy, and he's just active. He's a run stopper first. And what the Browns need to do, like all football teams, especially with the Browns, though, they have Myles Garrett, they have Zadarius Smith, and they have Okoronkwo. These guys are elite pass rushers, but you don't get the pass rush unless you stop the run on first down. And now with these guys, Tomlinson, now you have Shelby Harris, now you have veteran guys who can get to that 2nd and 3rd and long. He's just a real load in there. He's a guy you got to account for. Like I said, this defensive line is now complete. Now they got to go play.
Yeah, and when you look at it, they've built it out. You've got Myles Garrett, you've got Zadarius Smith, Tomlinson, Shelby Harris, you throw in Okoronkwo. It has the makings of a defensive line that no quarterback wants to face because all those guys get off the ball really quick.
Yeah, and then, the one thing they're going to do, too, is that now they're going to protect. Now they have guys who can protect those linebackers. Those linebackers are still undersized, even though JOK looks a lot thicker at practice. Those first 4 days of practice, he's looked a lot thicker. He looks a lot heavier, especially his lower half. But now these guys get to do – you saw a lot of it in practice. You've seen Tony Fields a bunch. You've seen these guys. They run around now because they're just cleaning up. They're cleaning up the mess that defensive line is making. And that's what you're seeing a lot of in practice is that there's a different energy with the defensive line. They're playing in the backfield. There's some guys that are first-level talent now. And then the Browns have some guys, like I said, like Jordan Elliott. Now he can kind of work on his craft and get better and learn from these guys. And he physically looks better, too. And then Ika, who they drafted, and some other guys, Hurst, Hill, there's some guys there that have some potential to kind of create a rotation because Schwartz wants a lot of guys in the rotation.